me!
Jump into the unexpected with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, only on Nintendo Switch.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are not going back again. What is going on here? We're like review Rebound at this point. Don't worry. Next video, we got a really nice retrospective coming your way, so prepare yourselves. For now, got one more review here on the docket. I originally wasn't going to talk about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I didn't get any review code for it. We know how Nintendo rolls. They don't need Retro Rebound. And so I was going to move on with my life, play a couple other games. But when I saw the Open Critic aggregate, I was like, okay, you got my attention. A couple buddies of mine picked it up and they really liked it. And I went, okay, maybe there's something here. I'm going to open my mind to this one because honest to God, and I'm not saying this to exaggerate, the last 2D Mario game I can think of that I actually cared about in my lifetime was Super Mario Bros. Deluxe on my Game Boy Color. I love that game. I've replayed it so many times in my childhood. That cartridge art, the way the cartridge looks, it's ingrained in my head. One of the most memorable games I've ever owned. But from there, I was like, I'm good. Mario's fun, but I'm good. I can go play some other games now. And I think that's where I found like Mega Man, and that scratched that itch of like 2D and platforming, but also side scrolling and action and progression in the X series. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. Point being is I've never really cared at all about 2D Mario, but there was a lot of hype for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and it looks like it's delivered on that. So even though I'm late to it, I thought, you know what, like with Sonic Superstars, I can come in with the late opinion and kind of deliver my thoughts as someone who's not a big Mario fan at all. Like my favorite 3D one, here we go, casual Maddie here. I love Super Mario Odyssey. I thought that game was great. I'm so surprised we haven't got a successor to it. When I heard rumors of a Donkey Kong game from the Odyssey team, I lost my mind because I love DK64. So that is where I really like Mario. I like the 3D space of things. And much of what I'd say here would mimic my thoughts of Sonic. Like, hey, I always respected 2D Sonic. I always respected 2D Mario, but I thought 3D was the natural evolution that really broke the series wide open and brought the best gameplay mechanics to the forefront. However, in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, when I picked it up and I tested it out, at first, it was looking spooky for y'all. First couple hours, I was thinking, all right, okay, like fun little 2D platformer, but as the mechanics began to roll out, I was getting it. Am I gonna sit here and fraud on all of you and be like, yo, I love this game? I'm not gonna pretend, because you know what my bread and butter is. I love JRPGs, I love RPGs, I love action games, and when it comes to 2D, like Metroidvania and side-scrollers are kind of more of my jam than just platforming. I prefer a good 3D platformer. But Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the fact that I was even kind of pausing and thinking like, wait, it's actually pretty fun, is a magnificent step forward. And it is a great game. And I just wanted to share some thoughts because at first I wasn't going to, but then I thought to myself, you know what? Black Friday soon upon us. I know that I have a lot of adults who like to watch this channel. Maybe you're thinking about buying a game for your kid. You want to know more about the latest Super Mario Bros. Game. So why not? Let's go through it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my review of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. If you're new here and you're into reviews, or yes, really nostalgic and retrospective content, that's about 95% of our uploads, consider subscribing. Where I want to begin is the art style. I am a big sucker for vibrancy, and this game, oh boy, is it vibrant. I mean, there's always some massive color splash somewhere, whether it be in the background or the foreground. This game is a pretty one. But it's really, to me, about, okay, I've played a Mario game before. You played one, you've played them all in my head. Like, there's a jump button, you can dash. What else do we have here? Right? The first mechanic that I have to say I really liked that felt like a big corner turn, I'm not even getting to the wonders yet, it was the badge system. I really like the badge system in this game. So as you go along in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, you're going to pick up these badges that'll give you little gameplay abilities. You'll be able to float with your hat using it as a parachute so you can cover a little bit more distance. You'll have what's called an auto mushroom. So let's say you're having a skill issue or little Johnny's having a tough time with World 4. Guess what? You can have an automatic mushroom so they can get 2 hits instead of 1 in. And there are many, like dozens more. Like there's a lot of badges. So every time you die, you can switch out. So if you feel you have a better badge for a particular situation, you can just swap that one in, which I thought that was a great answer to any problems I ever had with a level, because there was always an answer somewhere. So to me, the badge system was the first thing I really liked, because I love, you know how I feel, I love kitting out, picking abilities, creating a build of some kind. And I wouldn't say you're making a build here for real, but I just like that you have that choice and it adds gameplay abilities to the overall experience. What I also like is the amount of activities and just how fun-filled this game is. It really is all built around the fun factor because yes, you guessed it, the story is about Bowser showing up, crashing the party. This time he turns into a giant castle and you got to go through a bunch of worlds and eventually raid the castle. You know how it goes. It's a classic Mario game. You're not here for the story. You never were here for the story. If you're here for the story for a Mario game, may I recommend Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Anyway, moving on. So when it comes to this game, you're here for the fun factor, and they play with it in a lot of ways. You have your standard levels left to right, but then they also have these really cool challenges, like ones where you have to run against the current pretty much, where this platform is pushing you backwards. You have to keep like jumping and parachuting along it. There's a really tough one where as this water is rising, you're riding on the back of these rhinos pretty much, and you have to be really quick on the sticks to get through these levels. So make no mistake, this isn't just a kid's game, okay? The difficulty ramps up and you will need to have some serious talent to get all the Wonder Seeds, all the collectibles here in these missions. And sometimes it's gotta be like pixel perfect when it comes to timing, jumping, where you land. It can be pretty tough, which I appreciated because that's where I said like the first couple hours, I'm like, this is looking a little spooky right now. Like I'm kind of just glazing over B button, B button. It does pick up, fret not. The defining mechanic in Super Mario Bros. Wonder that makes every single stage go round are the Wonder Seeds. So what happens is as you're running around, maybe you'll bump a brick somewhere and out comes this Wonder Seed. They're hidden throughout the level. There's usually a couple. You get one for finishing the level, but you'll usually find one throughout. And when you do, it changes the level completely. Now, what's always interesting about these Wonder Seeds and that I have to applaud Nintendo for is every single one is different. I have yet to see the reuse of, oh, I remember that Wonder Seed from this stage back here. It continues to pour in new mechanics or new ways to go through a stage. There was one where I was in a water stage and obviously the water's at the bottom and you jump up to get out, right? But the Wonder Seed flipped that idea where now the water was on top and I was on the ground on the bottom. So when I jumped, I would get into the water and then I could swim up and over and drop down into somewhere. So those little dashes of creativity go a long way, depending on the gamer, of course, but for me, I found myself appreciating it. There was a sense of freedom. There was always some new way to engage your mind, think your way through a level, which I think, again, makes it good for kids and adults. It encourages the childlike creativity, the satisfaction of figuring out a challenge, but the same goes for the older audiences. Some, for example, give you the star power, and you'll be running through a level, knocking everything over, trying to chase down this one enemy holding a Wonder Seed. And I mean, you'll be hitting everything in your sight, but to make sure your star power doesn't run out, you have to jump and grab other stars while you're doing it. So every Wonder Seed plays out a little bit differently. And you want to collect all these because this is what unlocks future stages in the game. This is what enables your progression. You can buy them from the shop at times. You'll gather these purple coins and it's there. You can also buy sometimes a badge, oftentimes extra lives. You could buy a standee, which will give you like a random thing that happens in the stage. So these are just little things that kind of keep you afloat. Otherwise, I didn't find the shop super useful. Like it was only when I saw the badges, which are limited, kind of made my eyes light up, but everything else is just like, hey, you're running low on lives, come spend some here. And that's a little bit unfortunate because you have an objective to collect these purple coins in some of the stages, like the ones with the 10 mark on them. They really identify them in the UI, like you want to get these, right? But when there's nothing fun to spend them on after a certain amount of time, I did find that a tad lacking. But you want to get all these Wonder Seeds to progress through the game. And once you progress through the game, you'll eventually get to the final area in a world where you will take out a castle or a boss and you'll get a royal seed, right? And so the cycle begins anew again and again. These boss fights aren't super fantastic in my opinion. Not bad, but definitely not a challenge, so to say. Remind me a bit of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, where you had these very creative, fun-filled stages that can stick with you, and then you would get to the bosses and you're like, all right, like, I know who this is really targeted at. We don't want to block off anyone and get them stuck here. At least that's how my reception of the bosses has been. Overall, though, it was fun to kind of in the same week dive all the way into 2D Sonic and all the way into 2D Mario, like where both these series truly began. The fact that they're doing it at the same time, it's just some really awesome timing. I know some people just on a personal level may be wondering, like, Maddie, which did you prefer, Sonic Superstars or Super Mario Bros. Wonder? To whom it's the better video game, that's up to you and your taste. I just found that Sonic Superstars, it's more bite-sized nature, it's more exploration-focused nature rather than gimmicky mechanic focus like we see in Mario Wonder, spoke to me a bit more in the taste I have in gameplay, but that doesn't make Mario Bros. Wonder a worse game or a bad game, but that's where my tastes align, and of course I have much more experience and time spent and adoration with the Sonic franchise nowadays compared to Mario, where a lot of that time was spent when I was a kid with Mario Advance as well. That was one of the first games I got, and eventually kind of moving on to bigger and better, if you will. But Super Mario Bros. Wonder, it's a solid time, but if you're looking for an easy pickup for a younger family member or friend, something along those lines, this is a good gift. If you're looking at it from the angle of like, hey, I'm in the mood for a 2D platformer, and you know you like your 2D platformers, you're not like me where kind of in the middle on them, you're like, all right, yeah, like I can go for one right now. This would be a good pickup for you too. This is undoubtedly one of the more strong, competent 2D platformers to have come out in a while. Every stage is different. It has a great fun factor. The music is pretty good. The visuals are bright and colorful. Nintendo definitely put a lot of effort in. I wanted to call out the animations. For example, depending on what form you change into, you'll enter the pipe differently. So if you're like the big elephant, you'll kind of squeak in barely. And that's one element that does go in the game's favor a bit. For example, you'll find the fire flower and you'll be able to shoot the fireballs, but sometimes it's more useful to change into the elephant. And so you can swap these pickups if it's in your, we'll say, equipment slot on the top left. You just hold the A button, it'll pop up, you can jump into it and transform into that. You can pick up a mushroom. So yeah, having all these pickups, it's still got the classic Mario feel, but it evolves it a bit with the Wonder Seeds, which reminds me a bit of Galaxy and how like each planet felt a little differently. Has Super Mario Bros. Wonder converted me into a 2D Mario lover? No, I'm not gonna fib to you, but it is an awesome game, and definitely if you're into 2D games, you're gonna love this one for sure. So those are my thoughts on Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Perhaps I'm not as glowing as other reviewers out there, but I hope people do understand it's just because of where my tastes lie, and the fact that I'm very positive on the game at all says a lot about the quality of the product. So if you even kind of like 2D, you're gonna really dig this one. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, looking forward to seeing your thoughts on Super Mario Bros. Wonder in the comments down below. I know it's been out for a while now, so let me know what you're thinking. Have you been enjoying it? Have you been playing it? What do you think of the game so far? Do you plan on picking it up during the holiday season? Fire away. Other than that, take great care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace